fast forward to where we are now, everything is kind of fallen back to sort of pre-COVID days. Now, with that being said, I don't believe that's how consumers still prefer to do business. I think consumers are going back into dealerships, but they're still doing it begrudgingly. Just because we had a little splash of digital retailing doesn't mean all of a sudden consumers love dealerships and the dealership experience.
Welcome into Facts Not Feelings. I am your host, Brooke Furniss. Joining us today is Christopher, or Chris, Hawaii. You might just know him as Hawaii, but he's pretty kick-ass, and we're really, really excited to have him on the show today. He is the Regional VP of Sales at Stream, recently VP of Sales at Stream, and he's going to reveal to us the latest strategies for dealerships to stay ahead in a rapidly evolving automotive industry. Discover the inside scoop of adapting to online retail, harnessing emerging technologies, and understanding changing consumer behaviors. Chris, I am so excited to have you in right now. This has been a little bit in the making, and I'm so glad to jump into this and this topic, which I love, with you today.
Awesome. Aloha. I'm really glad to be here. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you have such great guests on all the time. I was trying to figure out what kind of value can I bring when I join up with Brooke. And so I'm going to break the rules a little bit here. And I know we're on facts, not feelings, but I actually want to talk a little bit kind of about feelings, which I know we're on facts, not feelings, but I want to talk about kind of like the feelings that shoppers get when they're actually in the market for a vehicle and they're searching online, and kind of what I like to call the digital body language that dealerships are showing to potential buyers when they're shopping online. So I know it's facts, not feelings, but we'll kind of be hopefully talk about feelings a little bit and some of my perspectives on that. I'm looking for your feedback on it as well.
I love it. And I will preface that I did, this is going back probably 10, maybe 10 years ago. I did a whole thing based on not in the consumer's digital body language, but okay, if you're a luxury dealership, here are some words that are going to help you if it's a sedan versus a truck versus whatever. If you're not a luxury dealership, here's some other words. Hey, simple things that you say in your email, and coming crazy, actually have a personalized email. I know that is a crazy thought, I know. But when you respond to these people, how are you engaging with them? Because so while you say this feelings, I'm not sure if you're going to base it in fact or not, but I can tell you from my standpoint and all the immense research I've done on this, it is crazy. Just a simple verbiage change, or, hey, are we answering this way? Or how does our website and all that? We'll get into it. So while you say feelings, I don't know if the 100%, it might be how they feel based in fact. So with that, let's dive in here. I'm super, super excited about this. All right. So the automotive industry, it is evolving so quickly, so rapidly. And so from your perspective, what strategies should dealerships implement to create a competitive advantage in this changing market? And obviously with the digital body language that you talk about.
Yeah. So, I think people looking at, the old school kind of original type of marketing when we're talking, just, direct mail pieces, when we're talking, cable television, stuff like that. I don't think it's dead. A lot of people want to come on and have all this new groundbreaking, marketing ideas and groundbreaking concepts. But I don't think those ideas are dead. I think what's really going to make dealerships have an advantage nowadays is just being smarter and more efficient with the way that they do all of their marketing. And we can do all this now with all the types of data that we can collect, and by dealerships leveraging their first-party data to make sure that both their digital strategies and then their old school strategies are all in line, but they're being as efficient and smart and hyper-targeting with that as possible. So I think that's one of the main aspects and avenues that dealerships can do to be competitive in the new kind of market that we're in. But also looking at a bigger perspective of more so that it's not just reaching the client, but it's also what is that messaging? And again, that digital kind of overly just feeling that a consumer will get from shopping for a vehicle. And what I mean by that is it breaks into a couple of different parts. So when we talk about online presence and we talk about the digital body language, most people will just look at something like their Google reviews and they'll say, okay, are my Google reviews good or not? Is a dealership looking like it's a place to shop? Okay, that's one aspect of it. Great. And then they'll kind of look at, okay, well, let's look at my website. And is the experience on my website smooth? And is it good for clients? Okay, well, that's another avenue. And then let's look at our Facebook presentation and our branding, all these things. But most dealerships, or a lot of dealerships, are looking at that very segmented. They're looking at it at one of those. They're looking at it individually. They're looking at their Google reviews individually. Okay, is this part okay? And then they're moving on to the next segment of what their whole entire digital body language is. And if those things are not running parallel with themselves, if they're not lining up with themselves, if the body language is not correct and it's mixed body language, that can steer a customer off. They can just kind of get that, and here we go to feelings, that feeling that, you know what, maybe this dealership is not transparent. Maybe this dealership is not the type of dealership I want to do business with. And they might start looking elsewhere. So I think with your marketing strategy lined up, using data correctly is going to make you competitive. And then also understanding that the interaction human to human is less. The interaction online is greater. And so that feeling that you're giving your consumer when they're doing all their research online, that whole encompassing feeling is going to be super important. So dealerships that are looking at as a whole holistic approach rather than segmented, I think are going to be extremely competitive in the next coming year.
So much to unpack there. I like going through. I'm like, oh my gosh, for this, making mental notes here. And I first want to touch on the very first thing you said there about, hey, the traditional methods, they're not dead. No, they're not. I remember walking in a dealership. This is a bit ago, this isn't like 30 years ago. Let me be very clear. This is in the last 10 years. And I'm walking into a Cadillac store, and they were really, really big on newspaper. Now, this is just outside of Chicago. And I just go, so I had to talk to the owner. I was like, Mr. Owner, let's have a discussion here. So you have a lot of money, a lot of budget just for newspaper. He's like, yeah, so I go, is it working? Like, I'm actually working, because I'm someone that, at that point, I'm not reading newspaper. I'm going to read something online. He goes, Brooke, I want you to go out into our waiting room right now. I was like, okay. He goes, tell me what you see. I come back in. He goes, what do you see? I go, I'm the youngest person by like 30, 40 years. He's like, yes. Did you see a lot of walkers, some oxygen tanks? I was like, yeah. So we're kind of like joking about it. But he goes, that is why newspaper works so well. And same thing, whether it's radio or TV, we personally still have 12 TVs in our house, but of them, they are connected to Comcast Xfinity. Now, only 2 of them have like the Comcast boxes. The rest are all through the Stream app. So we have a mixture here, but at the end of the day, we still have Comcast. So whether it's TV, it's also just diving in and knowing, okay, what works best with our market. But if you're just going to shoot from the hip and like, let's throw a bunch of shit there and hopefully it sticks. Now, do some data behind it to understand what is working. And to your point of, hey, the digital body, I love that so much, because it is really knowing. I will go back to, there was a deodorant company called Native, and I came across them probably like 15
We have
years
that in
ago.
this household. We use that in this household.
Oh, dude.
Familiar
So
with that.
I sadly had to go off of it, because that's a whole other story. But the first time I was introduced to it, I ordered from them. Now, do you get yours at Target, or do you buy yours directly from
Ashley uses it, so I'm
Okay.
not sure. Probably Target, because she loves to shop there, so I would guess it would be.
There's another experience for you. But their email that they send, so plug to Native here, whoever does their marketing, just kudos. Because once you order a product from you, get this just elaborate email, how they're packaging it and hand picking it. They're going to place it on a little pill. Like, it's comical, but I actually saved it. I was like, I'm going to use this. Like, I won't buy from another company. Like, and then they update you with just these incredible emails. So anyone, if you've ever bought these,
Witty, sarcastic,
they're
humorous.
awesome.
Yes.
So cool. And it's like that alone. I'm like, shit, man, I will buy from you all the time. Like, you're way more than anybody else. I don't care, because the marketing is great, and I appreciate that. But it is true. How do you feel as a consumer? If you feel ignored, if you feel whatever negative in any way, why would you ever do business with that store? Like, it's huge. So it goes on the next question here, because we're talking about all online stuff minus Target to go inside. Got that Native deodorant. But with the rise of online car buying and digital retailing, which it's been around for a while, obviously it made a splash in 2020. But how can traditional dealerships stay relevant and competitive?
That's a great question. And so me, I am a huge proponent of digital retailing, because, especially working from home and buying anything or shopping for anything, I want to do as much as I possibly can online. Now, some people still feel like they have to go into a dealership and drive a car. And I think there will always be those people, for sure. And I agree to that. As far as digital retailing goes, I think COVID and the whole situation gave us it forced our hand. It forced dealerships' hand into having to jump right into digital retailing. And I think that huge initial scare was like, oh, it's always going to be this way moving forward. Because while COVID was going on, we didn't know what the future was going to be in life in general, in any way that we did anything. And so we thought, hey, we don't know what's going to happen with COVID. This could be our future for as long as we possibly know. Real fast forward to where we are now, everything is kind of fallen back to sort of pre-COVID days. Now, with that being said, I don't believe that's how consumers still prefer to do business. I think consumers are going back into dealerships, but they're still doing it begrudgingly. Just because we had a little splash of digital retailing doesn't mean all of a sudden consumers love dealerships and the dealership experience. So has it bought dealerships a little bit of time and availability to really figure out their strategy moving forward with what digital retailing is going to be? I believe so. And I think those that are going to be successful in it are going to realize it, that digital retailing is still on the horizon. Yes, we might have bought a little bit more time, but at the end of the day, consumers still in general are not happy with the dealership buying process. And so instead of just falling back into our old ways, if we can realize that there are better ways to do business and start strategizing for that for 2024 and years moving forward, the dealerships that just bite the bullet and accept that and double down into it, they're going to see success first, and they're going to set themselves up better for the future.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. And it's not just because you're on the show or because you're a friend, but it's like I see the frustration that comes from people trying to buy vehicles. And it's like, it doesn't need to be that difficult. And then I see other dealerships that are just crushing it and they've made it easy. They've made it seamless. Hey, this is what we said online. It matches the experience in-house. If you are doing digital retailing and you haven't just taken it off your site because you're fed up with it, if you say you have a red carpet experience, you better damn well have a red carpet sitting outside when I come in there. Like, whatever you say, just match your intentions, match your actions, match your words. They've got to match up. There's a lot of matchy there. The bottom line is like the consumer knows. Like, last I checked, we haven't moved up from being like trusted one less the politicians. Like, we are still not trusted a whole lot. So what are we doing to break that barrier? To me, that's a really, really big one. Really, really big one.
Yeah, and the thing is, we accept nothing less from all the other services in our life. Whether that's dating, whether that's building friendships with people, whether that's going into a restaurant that we frequent, whether that is buying any other purchase online, we settle for nothing less. And generationally, the generations below us are even less accepting of just dealing with that process because they've seen better ways. So, to that Cadillac dealership or to dealers that, deal with an older clientele, the truth is, unfortunately, that clientele is shrinking every day, right? And so if you are not buying into what the next generations want to do as business and what they accept as the way to treat a customer, you're going to fall behind. So like you said, it has to match up all across. And that is from the digital retailer walking into the store. And that's, again, with the digital body language, all the way that you are expecting your dealership to behave and to represent itself. It has to be from the very, very start, the first time they see your advertising and their branding, all the way to your Google reviews, to your website experience, to the time that they walk into your dealership. And so, that definitely needs to be a focal point for dealers moving forward.
Well, Chris, I think we just wrapped up the entire episode in a total 13 minutes here, but just mic drop right there. I think we're going to keep that episode going here a little bit. There was so much there to, like I said, just once again, listen to what he's saying because it's so true. Understand how that, I can't remember where he said this. I'm sure I've said it on the show at some point, but it's too often, one, I don't think I'm as old as I am. That's number one. Number two is like, oh, so like you've got the millennials, you got Gen Z. And I go, wait, so they're already on their second car? I go, man, that just maybe a little bit older now. But when you start to think about, hey, it's not, the millennials got blamed for everything. And then it was Gen Z that got blamed for everything. And Gen Alphas, I'm sure, are going to get blamed for everything as well. But understand that they're the next buyers. And so what are you doing to cater to them? There's so many things that can be done from a social standpoint, let alone everything else. But you really have to think about it because while millennials still buy vehicles and they're bought a lot, there's the younger generation has bought more than one at this point, most likely. So let's take a little bit more on this advertising portion of it. So I'll say consumer behavior or your digital body language, how is it changing in our industry and what adaptations are necessary for dealerships?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer that, and I'll try to shorten my answer now, so I don't, just verbal diarrhea, spill so much info all at once. But to kind of recap back to some of these things that we mentioned before, is that digital body language and that lingo, it has to start from the beginning, right? And then back to your point of the type of marketing and communication that you're getting from native was very personable, right? Is like you're getting it's like you're getting to know this company and you're
Yeah.
really getting to know them, right? It's like some of these companies that have like a great Twitter, marketing people who are handling their Twitter accounts and things like
Wendy's?
that. Yeah, there you go. You're getting to know the personality of the company, and it just makes you feel more connected to them, more trustworthy of them, and you're ready to do more business with them. So dealerships, as we have always been, forever, we're always so far behind to incorporate new things, but we really need to jump on this bandwagon of being more personal, being more hyper targeting with our advertising, being using more intentional marketing. So, you know, um, shameless plug here. One of the great things about working with Stream and Full Throttle AI, which is our platform, is that our AI propensity is used to figure out different customer intentions, where they are in the life cycle. And then the marketing that we're putting out to them is hyper targeted and it's personalized and it's about them and it's about their vehicle. So then rather than sending out a spray and pray email blast, to every person who buys a car on their 1 year anniversary saying, hey, 1 year anniversary, happy 1 year anniversary. This is more personalized. It's like, hey, how is your BMW 3 Series doing? Hey, did you know you're 3,000 miles, over your mileage, or you might be a little bit late on them? Hey, by the way, do you still live at this address? And it's more personalized. It's more directed at them. It's talking about them and their car and their experience and things that have gone on. And hey, thanks for coming in for an oil change 2 weeks ago. And so by being more personalized, again, we are engaging more with our customers. And in a time right now where cars.com is reporting 3 out of 4 customers aren't sure what car they want to buy next, brand loyalty is at all-time low. Well, here's a way that you can keep your customers loyal to your dealership. And maybe even if they're not loyal to that brand anymore, they still may do business with you again if they're loyal to your dealership. So these are the things that are going to make dealerships really hold on to the customers that they have and keep growing, keep building.
Yeah, that repeat and referral business is so key. And when we look at Amazon, Amazon is not necessarily the cheapest, but it is makes my life a hell of a lot easier. I mean, yesterday I was like, oh crap, I forgot to actually say other words that I'm not going to say now, but that's a rarity for me to hold back there. And I was like, oh, I forgot to return this thing, but it was still in that time frame. I was like, it never ceases to amaze me how seamless they make the car buying experience. They are kind of selling cars now, Honda. But how the entire experience and is for me. Like I can definitely go to Target and get it, and I love Target. I'll tell you now, at Target, I do so much like just order it and then go pick it up, and it's just so seamless. Now, I've worked with other companies that say they have a pickup service, and they're not seamless at all. And so, as we talk about, like I'll say, like the Amazons of the world that make it so seamless that they can charge a little bit more, just because I'm going to pay it because it's so convenient. So
Convenience.
it's convenience 100%. Like we all need more time in our life. Oh, great. You just gave me back, a half hour. Or if I happen to run into Target, I get lost in Target land and I'm there for 2 hours. So merely you gave me back 2 hours and a lot less money. So thank you. So in an era where consumers they're way more empowered right now when it comes to, hey, I have all these different, whether it's AI or I look at a lot of different places to find what I need. How should dealerships adapt their pricing and negotiating strategies?
It's a tricky question, and one that I don't really have the answer for, because being a car guy, 20 plus years working inside the dealership, I don't believe profit is an ugly word. I think dealerships have and should make as much profit as they can, ethically, of course. But making profit is, something that they should be able to do and should be able to focus on. So it puts us in a situation where it's kind of difficult to know, where that line is, right? We've seen one price dealerships. We've seen how that's worked for them. Some of them it's worked fantastic. Some of them it has not. We've seen some dealerships who absolutely cut to the bottom price. But I'll give you an example. So, there's a huge used car dealership group that is here in South Florida. They have closed recently. They had the cheapest prices by thousands of dollars around anywhere that you can get, but they're closed, right? They went out of business. So even though they had the cheapest cars by thousands, their process, right? Their reputation, their customer experience, the type of cars that they bought, which were a lot of damaged cars, wrecked cars, salvage cars, titled cars, stuff they were trying to slide underneath customers. It didn't work out that way. So there has to be a fine line, I think, for each dealership. They have to look at their market, right? They have to look at how competitive it is. They have to look at, okay, do I have, people who are going to be more loyal to that customer experience? And again, can I charge a little more for that experience and what I'm giving them? But I think the most important key factor here at the end, whatever you decide to charge at your dealership, is just being transparent about it. And I think at the end of the day, that's what the customer is looking for. It's not necessarily that they're looking to save an extra $500 on this car versus this car. And granted, there will always be consumers who are going to drive an extra 20 minutes to save $500. We've dealt with it for the entirety. But that's a very small portion. Most people, again, as you mentioned, they're looking for that experience, right? And specifically in this time and generation that we're working in right now, where time is a commodity. And by selling time or saving someone time, by making the experience easier, by making the experience more transparent, that is something that you can charge for on the front end of the vehicle by, hey, listen, this car is $500 more, but I can have you in and out of here in an hour and a half. I'm going to do everything that I said I was going to do. I'll give you all the pricing up front down to the penny, right? So I think dealerships need to look at, okay, it's not necessarily what is my bottom line, but what is the whole experience for the customer? Is it going to be transparent? And is this customer and consumer in my area willing to pay for that? So like down here in South Florida, very busy place. People are willing to pay a little bit more for that, even as competitive as the market is.
Amen to that. It's so true. I go back and look at the stuff that I've purchased, and I can tell you, if I can save time, money, yeah, or I'll say save time and my sanity, I am more than willing to pay for that. And I'll even say take that a step further from the fixed off support portion of the back end of everything. Is we've talked about this before. If you're new to the channel, you're hearing it the first time. If you're OG, you're going to hear this again. I have to keep my service agreement with me at all times, showing that, hey, I bought a warranty. Like, if I would pay extra for a vehicle, if I knew that every single time I could trust going into the dealership that they were going to know what I got and all the systems talk together. Stephen Apicella, thank you for this. Connect the disconnected. But how nice would it be to know that when I pull up, they're like, so what'd you buy again? Dude, I bought it from you. How do you not know this?
Yeah. If you don't know, who knows? Let's.
Or we go to the marketing portion of it, that I buy a car and then you're going to send me an email, a marketing email saying, here's a car you might like, or here's it for less than I just purchased it. What the actual hell? I just bought a car for you. Why are you sending me this? Like, please stop this. Or I was just in for service and you're going to send me that it's time for you to come in for service. No, it's not. Your CRM sucks, actually, is what that is. Your process sucks. So stop sending me that stuff. It drives me bonkers. So if I knew that, like, in our industry, we had something like Amazon, Target knows the good old story that the woman was pregnant before her own parents did. I mean, that's how tapped in we need to be, and that is worth the extra price. The same, Target's not the cheapest. I could go to Walmart. I'm not going to, but I could go to Walmart and get something for less expensive and have the Walmart experience, and then maybe have some beverages with that. But it just drives me bonkers when it's like we there's so much more we can be doing if we would just take that first step.
Yeah, so let me build on that, right? And so that is, one of the great reasons that I'm working for Stream and Full Throttle is, again, that next level is for dealerships to start. And I don't know, I'm saying this, I'll go on record saying this, by the end of 2024, I think every competitive dealership is going to be on a CDP, or IMC, we call it here at Stream and Full Throttle. And because it helps to resolve a lot of those issues that you were saying. So when you're getting emails from the dealership, right? So, somebody was joking the other day. Yeah, I love when I get it's time for an oil change email on my EV, right? Like, why are dealerships doing it? Because it's generic, because it's absolutely generic, and it's just set up in their CRM.
Set it, forget it.
Set it and forget it. All due respect to the CRM companies and stuff like that. CRMs are actually just absolutely a dirty, swampy mess. And not to the CRM's fault per se, because
No,
it's
garbage
garbage in,
in.
garbage out, right? But it's just a mess. Cleaning it is we're not going to get. And by the way, Brooke, we've gone so far without swearing, and so
Oh,
no,
I have.
I know, but usually,
I'm trying. I have control myself in the f bombs at this point, but
we're
everything
doing,
else we
like
got
you
Brooke
said,
words.
we're doing really good. So it's just an absolute mess over there. And so one of the things that we help resolve there is that we have a product in our integrated marketing cloud called Lifecycle. And in Lifecycle, what it does is it sends, so a lot of other CDPs, there's two or three other players in the game. A lot of them, what they do is they rely on lists. So third-party lists from Experian, TransUnion, Comcast, different lists to get their data information. Now, some of those are clean, some of them are still dirty, but when you're relying on a third-party vendor to get your list, it's never going to be completely accurate. So, like, for example, if I was to look at your credit bureau, Brooke, it may or may not have the right address that you live at, right? It may or may not have the right vehicle that is registered to you on it. It might be correct, it might not. The one person I know who for 100% knows what address she lives at and what cars are registered to her is Brooke, right? So one of the great things about Lifecycle and our product that we have there is that it's self-cleaning by our clients. And we have 30 to 40% engagement from the clients that get their Lifecycle email every single month. So every single month, just like Credit Karma or HomeBot or some of these other like monthly emails you get from services that are really highly engageable, clients are getting in there and working in there and changing their own vehicle wallet constantly. So they are really doing all of that. So they know, hey, I got this service. Like, even if you were to have gotten your oil change at, say, Jiffy Lube instead of at that dealership, well, when you get your monthly Lifecycle email, if it says, hey, it's time for an oil change real soon, you can just click that button directly in the email saying, oh, I did this somewhere else. And now the system knows that. And you're not going to get emails about an oil change again until it's time for another oil change, 6 to 12 months later. Same thing with under mileage, over mileage. I don't own this vehicle anymore, so stop sending me mailers and stuff on it. So one of the great things about having a CDP or IMC is it resolves a lot of those issues. And it kind of helps make that message and that understanding and that communication between the dealership and the client much more smooth and much more accurate and much more personalized.
It is, and we've done more shows on CDPs than I can count because
It's a
I
hot
can't count that.
button.
It's a buzzword. We're gonna keep drinking over here because we've hit about everyone now.
So,
But is knowing salute is to knowing once again, do your homework to know, is this a good fit for us, because there's some good players in the game right now, and understand, does it work with all the systems we have? Is there push and pull integration? There's so much to be asked. What happens to your data? Blah blah blah. And then it's also on set it up, because I've seen some setups that are super super seamless. The dealer barely has to lift a finger, and other ones where it's very time consuming, like incredibly time. So let's take once again and understand, why are you doing this? Are you changing any process in house because you think the CDP is going to solve everything? So that, what I mean by that is, so we're going to continue to skate people left and right and just put crap people into the system. And are you going to have someone that their sole job is to mine the CDP and then work with that? Or are you just going to put that on someone else's, I'll say the internet manager or your director, digital marketing manager, and say, oh yeah, by the way, do this as well. I mean, there's so much to think about, from a pay plan to the process in-house to, are you hiring someone else? And then obviously vetting the entire company, because there's great things that can come from a marketing standpoint and personalizing. I mean, like I said, we've done a lot of shows on this, so just go back and watch any shows on this. But I can't stress enough to do your due diligence before you ever sign anything, just so you know it works with all your amazing products that are in your house right now. So I want to transition a little bit to the analytics a little bit. So how do marketers use data analytics and customer insights for a more targeted and personalized campaign? We've talked about the CDP portion of it, but what else? I mean, we're talking about analytics, we're talking about digital body language, we're talking about all this. So I'll let you expand on that.
yeah. So specifically with the analytics, we are, again, because Full Throttle is our platform, we're using a lot of the analytics and data that we're getting from there. And not to dive too much into the CDP conversation, as you mentioned, you had a ton of guests on the show, speaking about that, but actually just using the data from there. And whether that is that you're using it through a CDP or an IMC, or just using straight up Google Analytics to get your resolve, it's about finding out exactly what your customers are doing and then spending on that. So, you know, that's why we recommend leveraging, something that can give you better first party data and better data about what your clients are doing. One of the things that we do love about Full Throttle is because we can see the entire customer journey. So, and we can actually do matchbacks to find out not just, all right, am I getting a really good click through rating on this? Because dealerships, I, I don't think they really care about that. I think at the end of the day, the dealerships care about, is the rubber hitting the road and am I writing service ROs over this? And so being able to take all your data, trying to quantify it as much as possible, and then focusing your spend on those things that are really, really working. It's about being efficient. And I know it's tough for dealerships because they're sitting in 5, 6, 7, 8 strategy meetings with different vendors every single month. But, really trying to focus on what is resolving into sales and stuff for you, I think is going to be should be a better focus for dealerships rather than just looking at numbers on the page as far as your data analytics and click throughs.
Amen. So let's build on that just a little bit. How important, and I know this answer, but I want you to expand on this, is how important is brand perception and public relations in establishing a competitive edge, and what strategies should companies use to maintain a positive image in the eyes of consumers, especially in our industry?
What was the last new restaurant you went to go try?
Ooh, the last one would have been, oh, I can tell you the last one I went to is like the one I go to all the time because their food's awesome and I love them to death. And it's a sushi place downtown.
Have you been to a new restaurant in the last year that you did not plan on going? Not just driving by and I'm hungry, I'm going to stop somewhere, but planned on looking for a restaurant that you didn't look at the Google reviews?
Oh, always look at the Google reviews. Oh,
Always look at the Google reviews.
with Yelp, with restaurants, I'm going to look at Yelp as well just to see.
Mhm.
But I'm
Yeah.
always going to look at. Well, I'm such a like I love looking and trying new stuff. I'm just such a creature of habit. It's like, oh, we're just going to go this. So I'm trying to think the last one. The last one we went to that they have like SDK. They've got them everywhere, and everyone knows SDK is like incredibly overpriced. And it was our friend's book, the reservation, and it was a god awful experience. Like yeah, just not a good experience. Now, you want to, other places in the United States, if you're in
How
Vegas,
were your reviews prior to your experience?
I actually didn't look at that one because I didn't book it. So,
Got
but
it.
I
Okay. Someone
guarantee
else did.
I can. I also know that talking to my friends that have eaten there, one in Chicago at least, they're all like, "Don't go there, don't go there." So I have yet to hear a positive experience, word of
Well,
mouth.
shame on you for not following advice from your friends, because word of mouth, as we know, it should be and is generally like the most
What was
accurate.
it?
All right, you're forgiven with that. But as far as like the brand reputation, and this goes back to the digital, the digital body language, it has to be great and it has to align. And this has to do a lot with I still see dealerships now who have Google business pages where they're not even answering questions that customers are asking on their Google My Business pages. There's like almost zero interaction between the dealership and the customers that are on there. And like, you know, it's really easy to resolve bad reviews on Google. Simply just saying like, "Hey, we're sorry for that experience. This does not represent our brand. Here is the person in charge. Please call them and let's talk about it." I think consumers, if they're looking at through Google reviews and they see someone complain about a bad experience, but the dealership is willing to take onus of that experience and say, "Hey, this is not something that we like to do or that we represent. Let me try to take, onus for that." I think most consumers are going to look at that as forgivable and forgiveness for that. And so I think that, that brand reputation online, it starts with the Google reviews, specifically for dealerships, dealer rater like that. I feel like everybody's got great dealer rater scores. I don't know. That's just me. It looks like everybody's 5 stars on there. But like dealer rater and then, Facebook and all those different marketplaces and stuff, of course, as well. So I think it starts there. Now, with that being said, will people do business with a dealership who has under 4 stars if they have that right car and it's at the right price? Yeah, they will. But do you want to base your business strategy on that?
Mm-mm.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think the best business strategy is to make sure that you're looking good, that you are feeling like a brand that does very well, and again, the verbiage is very important as well. It's something that you said earlier, Brooke, was like 10 years ago, changing with the luxury dealerships, just changing some of the verbiage. Like Subaru, for example, is great. Like Subaru doesn't call themselves dealerships anymore; they call themselves retailers.
Well, I know
Retailers.
yeah, there's quite a few luxury OEMs, the same thing. If you say dealer in any marketing, you get a strike more or less, and Sarah will come out and
Yeah, so
have to say retailer.
Subaru is that way. I know specifically for sure. So I mean, I think again, the way that we change customers' outlook and the way that customers vision the car dealership experience and car dealerships singly as well is just changing the way we look, changing the verbiage that we're using, and then taking onus for mistakes and things that we can make along the way. I think that kind of overall brand awareness and dealership awareness, that's going to give the dealerships who are forward thinking, the biggest advantage. And I can name a couple off the top of my head, but just for competitor reasons, I'll keep their names in my heart, close to my heart.
Well, I'll say also like two things on the reviews. Like one, if I look at somewhere and they're only answering the good reviews or only answering the bad reviews, that's going to say something about the company. I don't want to do business with them. Number two is if every single response is canned and it's like identical, 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 identical. Why? Get someone else. Obviously, the person is probably too overwhelmed to have a personalized response. It makes such a difference when I go and look at things to say this has been personalized, this hasn't, or we're not answering. The other thing is that we get not that Google reviews and Yelp, no, not Yelp, not so much in our industry, but in general, when you're looking at those reviews, to understand that they're there and you need to look at them. But there's so many other ways as a business that you are either being praised or thrown on the bus. And I don't think we're at this point right now where dealerships really understand that. I mean, are they going to Reddit? Are they going to Twitter? Are they going to all these different things and blasting you and you have no idea because Google's the end all be all? I got to find the article on DealerRater about how they actually, why what you said is the case. It's not a true representation. It's an average and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, but looking at that and saying, okay, where else are our consumers, especially knowing that it's a younger generation now buying, where are they? Maybe you're not on Twitter. Maybe you're not on Instagram. Maybe you're not on TikTok, but how many videos we've seen go viral over a horrible experience on TikTok? Like I lose track of how many that happens.
I've seen some dealerships try to do TikTok advertising and it completely backfire where the comments is just all about their terrible experiences at that particular dealership. Because, listen, social media, people are looking for engagement and interaction. So if you have some skeletons in your closet, they're going to come out on social media, right? 'Cause people are very happy to blast that all out there because they're looking for not attention, but, interaction and engagement that's going on out there. So, I think, again, it goes back to having that congruency and everything lining up with, if you say that you are, customer centric, then make all your experiences customer centric. And back to your comment on the non-personalized responses on Google, to me, when I see that, it goes, okay, well, they've hired a company to do this for them. The company is completely disconnected from what's actually going on inside the dealership. And again, this results in that mixed digital body language because the person that they have managing that is not inside the dealership, doesn't represent the dealership, and isn't giving the same type of signals that the rest of the dealership experience throughout the internet is. So absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I was working with a store. This is years ago, and they go, "Hey, I think we want to do like a pet friendly thing." I go, "Great. Do you guys have anything pet friendly at all? Has this ever been even remotely an idea? Like other than right now, you telling me this? Well, no, but I hear that pet friendly stuff does really, really well. Okay, so do you even like animals? Like realistically, are you allergic to dogs and cats and or are you just doing this to check a box to say, oh, we are pet friendly?
It would be equivalent to wearing a certain shirt on a date because you think the person you're going on a date with just likes that shirt. Even though you don't represent that personality at all. It's like just copping. It's a cop-out.
Yeah. If Brooke starts saying that she likes freaking LeBron shoes, no, I don't actually. No, that's a misrepresentation of who I am. I represent and am sponsored at this point, should be sponsored by Air Jordan Nike. I jokingly say that, but it's really true to like look through it and say, does this match our actions? Do our words match our actions? Oh, we had Brian Ortega on a while ago, and he's phenomenal. And now, if another dealership tried to take that persona and say that we're customer centric and we're fun and loving and blah blah blah, and you walk in, they're just like, "How may I help you today?" I mean, why would you want that? It doesn't match up at all. Like, not only so just please match your actions with your words. So
Well, yeah,
Let's
let me throw out the word authenticity, because that's
yes.
really what it is, right? It comes down to the authenticity of the responses and the branding and the messaging, and it's got to match up to who the dealership really is. And it's okay if a dealership maybe not like that in the past. It's okay to change, but you got to go in, 10 toes down, 100% in. If you're going to go with the pet friendly thing, then hey, you know what? Dealerships are huge. Do you have a little 10 by 10 pet area where they can walk their dog or something like that? Like, they got to go all in with it if that's going to be the case.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen dealerships that full out have entire dog park at their dealership. Like it is insane. I was like, they're pet friendly. Like they didn't put a sign and put little, dog bowls out. I mean, they are 100% pet friendly. So just understand, work with what you have right now. Like understand what works with you. And we're going back to your authenticity portion of it is knowing what is authentic to us, which will then be authentic because then you don't have to continue to think about what lie you told last. It's just easy. Like, yes, this is what we are. Let's roll with it. All right, so let's go with the role of predictive maintenance and data analytics. So, in the world of fixed ops, how significant is that role in predictive maintenance and data analytics?
So I'm not super knowledgeable on this subject matter, but also, so I'll tell you what I do know, and that is that man, service doesn't get the love it should.
No.
You know, I stopped into to Audi dealership last week. Spoke with a gentleman who is the service manager of this Audi dealership, and just speaking with him, that even third party vendors like myself, when we go into a dealership, we always focus on sales, and I think service is so overlooked, and we can all agree upon that. So as far as with the predictive part of it all is, we know that there's a certain service schedule for every vehicle that is bought, right? So we kind of know what the processes should be happening and how often we should be getting in customers to go in to do service within the dealership. I think at the end of the day, this goes back to having clean data so that you are knowing, because not everybody's going to drive at the same mileage, right? So their service schedule is going to be way different. Even though a car's service schedule is the same, the client's process or their ownership of that vehicle is not the same. So somehow being able to get clean data, again, whether it's with the CDP or IMC or whatever it may be, to know the type of clients that you're dealing with. This way you can make sure that the future of your service is lined up correctly and you're getting the clients in on their schedule, not just the natural service schedule of the vehicles.
Agreed. And I mean, that's when we look at all this, the marketing or predictive or whatever it may be, all these terms are being thrown around right now. One thing I'll always go to is Amazon advertising, because when I say Amazon, I'm not saying go scrap everything else. I'm not. But when you advertise on Amazon and you're using Amazon, the first thing I'm going to change, probably before I even change my address with USPS to more forward my mail, is my Amazon is going to be where it needs to be shipped, because you personally are shipping that. We're giving so much information and so much data to Amazon that when it comes to the Amazon garage, if you know that, hey, Brooke I'll go back to your BMW 3 Series, she constantly is looking at wiper blades. Okay, she just bought those. Do I really want to go and advertise to her again? No, but I know in X amount of time that she'll need that. But it gives me idea that she's got these 3 cars in her garage right now, that what they're driving, what they're constantly looking at. And it's definitely no, if anyone says it's one shot, one kill, please run away from that. But when you couple that with Google, any of your traditional advertising, I'll say in marketing advertising, it's amazing. I mean, I know here in Chicagoland, I'm going to screw up this metric here. I believe when you were searching, like it was like Toyota near me or something like that, or Toyota for sale, you would think in Chicago, like that would be just insanely popular term. It was like 400 people that searched it. That was it. So where's that money that you're spending? Like if you couple that with Amazon or couple that with more personalized approach, you now can better advertise to them. The same thing goes with fixed ops. So whatever you're doing fixed ops wise is, how are you marketing that? I mean, you and I know I've talked about this. When I go in and I say, hey, what's your budget for fixed ops? Yeah, we don't do it, or we don't know. I'm like, so okay, that's a problem. And we'll go through, and I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but just how important it is when you're looking at that to understand that, hey, the consumer is here. How can we best assist them? And yes, with the CDP, you're going to be able to see that they were just in for service, or why the hell are we going to hit them with another email about come in for service? We're phenomenal. Please don't do that. So just a little bit more on that. I just wanted to make sure that we talked about, because it's a big, there's so many ways to do marketing, so many different ways. just make sure it works with your process and people, please, for the
Yeah, and again, so it's back to the point that you just said earlier about the disconnected connected, right? So it's about having a system that is, aware of what's going on with that client, that they were just in for service. Or on the sales aspect, if if they came in and they bought a car, okay, well, I don't want to continue to market connected TV to that household anymore. They just bought a vehicle. I can shut off and stop spending money there. So, and that goes back to the service department as well. So again, just leveraging whatever system it is that you use that's intelligent enough to know, okay, what has the consumer been doing, and then how can I use that to market or to stop marketing.
Amen. All right. So you got your little crystal ball here, Chris. And how do you envision the future of physical dealerships in the next, we'll say, 5 to 10 years?
I don't see them going away at all. I think that people still want to go in. First off, they're going to have to continue to service their cars, right? So, they're always going to be inside the dealership regardless of they're just going there for sales. So I don't see that slowing down at all. I think that, dealerships, again, the brick and mortar are always going to stay. I was shopping again for a car recently, and I was ready to order a car online without ever driving the car, ever seeing it in person or anything like that. But then I just got this little feeling in my stomach, which was like, you know what? It's a huge purchase. Like most people, they always say it's the second biggest purchase after a house for most people. So I just got this little feeling in my stomach. It was like, you know what? I'm going to wait till I have some time where I can go, I can test drive it, I can see it in person, and before I make my decision. So I don't see that changing at all, not even the next 5 or 10 years. I do, however, see more people doing more of the process online, however. So I see more of that digital retailing process, whether that be if there's 10 steps in your sales process, going through 8 online and then maybe coming in for 9 and 10. And so with that change coming up, where I do see digital retailing being more part of the whole process, it's going to have to take dealerships to line up to your point that you said earlier, which is if 1 through 8 was fantastic, smooth and easy, and it told them this message of A, B, and C, well, when they come into the dealership to finish up for 9 and 10, that message has to be continued and everything has to go on. Because I even though I could see people going all the way through step 8, I can see them walking out at 9 and 10 if that message isn't all the way lined up. So for brick and mortar dealerships, for inside the dealership, I don't see that changing much. I just think that the first beginning steps are going to be a lot different. I think we might actually see customers coming in way more specific about what they want in a vehicle. They might be coming in dealerships, not sure, if they're in the used car market, if they want this or that, but I think they're going to be way farther along in that sales process when they come into dealerships, probably in the next 5 to 10 years for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know there's a lot of buzz about Hyundai and being on Amazon. It's like what's the difference between that and then the car being on cars.com? Like there is a difference. I get that, but understand it's just another way for that car to be advertised. And knowing it's on Amazon, man, that's personally, if I see it on Amazon, I'm going to trust that a whole lot more than another one.
That's the word. That's the word trust, because we've already been ingrained to know that if we get something on Amazon and we don't like it, it's not a problem.
Yeah. And it's still like, the dealerships there, like don't forget the dealership's still involved through this entire process. Like, I think a lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that it's just going to randomly show up in an Amazon Prime box. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's not what's going to happen.
Well, for me, I think it'll be more similar to maybe like a true car experience where, you can go online, you can shop, you can get that pricing, you can get all those things that you wanted up front. And then, you're just going into the dealership for pretty much the last couple steps. And so we'll see how that all pans out. I think Hyundai's taken a big leap with that, and I applaud them for that. But again, I think to your point, I think it'll happen like this. If I, again, to look into that crystal ball, the first year or so that it's on Amazon, the amount of people that actually do it will probably be in the hundreds. All right. But if those hundreds have great experiences and they could turn to their neighbor and go, I bought my car on Amazon and it was fantastic, people are going to jump on it because there would be some doubt up front about it. But once they know somebody who had a good experience doing it, again, back to people still begrudgingly going into dealerships. If there's an easier way to do it and it can be trusted, they're going to do it. So I think first year numbers will be real low, but those second and third year numbers are going to jump quickly, very quickly, if they do it correctly.
Yeah, that's always the if there. Well, Chris, we are at that time. We are jumping into the lightning round with you now. So, for those that are watching, you can see his nice little QR code. Well, QR code, I think, is right. It'll probably flip, but it might be over here. But, anyways, his link's below here. And for those that are listening in podcast land, how can they get in touch with you? How can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So LinkedIn, if you want to just follow me and follow all my posts, it's Christopher Hawaii Dasconio on LinkedIn. You can also give me a shout anytime. I'm happy to give out my Google Voice number. It's 954-266-8062. Give me a shout if you want to talk CDPs, marketing, ad tech, anything like that. Even if you just want to chit chat and learn things, happy to be friends with anybody and learn about people's life experiences. Happy to talk to vendors, other people in the marketing space as well. So those are the best two ways to get hold of me.
Yes, and he really will. He'll talk. The first time we met, I think, was at DMSC or MRC, and it was just like we're like best friends. Okay, so he will talk to you.
Yes. So we just become best friends.
I think so. Yes. Okay. So name of the show is Facts Not Feelings. So whether it's in personal life or it can be in professional life, how are you distinguishing facts from feelings?
Data. I need the data to back it up. If you're gonna say it's a fact, then I need the data to back it up, and then I want to check into that data. Has it been peer reviewed? Is it consistent? If it's gonna be a fact, then you need to come to me with the data and information to back it up.
Amen. It's like I was vetting a company for a client, and I go, let me ask company A and company B, and then I want like 3 references, and I'm going to ask someone else that I know that's in the same space, just because someone can tell you whatever they want to say and be like, whatever. You have to do your data. So yes, 100% on that one. Okay, let's go with, because I love this answer. What is something that most people wouldn't know about you?
Ooh. So wow, this caught me off surprise. So I am a firm believer in facing your fears, and that facing your fears is like the best way to get over something. So one of my ultimate fears ever in life was bugs in my bed. Like I would like the idea of bugs in my bed scared the hell out of me. Until I lived in the middle of a jungle for years and literally had bugs in my bed sometimes and realized it was not that big of a deal. So most people don't know that about me, that I'm a firm proponent of facing your fears. I'm also an adrenaline junkie. And I am a huge dork, huge nerd, Star Wars nerd, Marvel nerd. You could see these 2 sides of my office here. They're stacked with Marvel characters. And also I am a musician and huge music snob as well. So a bunch of little tidbits about me.
Wow, that was way different than the answer that you put. So that works. So I think the one you put was either you're a DJ or
I am a DJ as well, yeah.
yeah, or the why Hawaii, you've never lived in Hawaii, even though your name says, or you weren't born in Hawaii, I think is what it said.
I was not born. Yeah, a lot of people think that the name Hawaii is because I'm native Hawaiian and I am not even a fraction Hawaiian. So.
Fraction. But I did live there. I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. We're good to go. So, okay, let's round it out with, if you could have any superpower, what's it going to be?
So let's go back to the Marvel thing. I want to go. I think I would have the powers of like Professor X. Just being able to like read minds and telekinesis and stuff because like low key, it wouldn't bring all the drama that if you were like super strong or you could fly or you could do something like that. Like if you could fly, the government's probably going to come in like you're going to become a weapon. They're going to take control of you. So I think at least with like some Professor X powers, nobody would really know, and you could have all those powers and not be bothered too much. So I'll take his powers. Sans the
Nice. And I like the logic on this. Someone of the very few, like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. I could definitely be seen as a weapon of mass destruction at this point, so I probably don't want to have that one. So I like that. I like that.
Yes, so I'm watching all the boys episodes, so I see what they did with those characters.
Oh, Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for just the immense amount of knowledge here. I know you put a lot of time behind, like, hey, let's think about this something differently, as you very at the beginning said here. So I so appreciate you. If you are not connected with Chris, please connect with him. 1, he is very smart at what he does. Number 2, he's a freaking awesome human being, and he and I will exchange shoe picks all the time. So yeah, if you're a kicks head at all, a sneakerhead, get in touch with this man. And with that, everyone, you know the drill at this point. Find a way to serve a day. Find a way just to be the joy in somebody's life. Make their day just a little bit better, whether that's opening a car door or just a kind smile. Just find a way, as I've said before, is just to make someone's day to day. And with that, everyone, we'll see everybody next week.